Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Genesys Engage Community's Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys online community. My name is Matt Lawson. I'm your online community manager, and today we have an episode for you. How this episode came about is a customer wrote in requesting a topic on WebRTC. Now, keep in mind, we love to hear from customers what episodes they would like to see. So if you have an idea for an episode that you would like to see, please email us at qashow@genesys.com. Again, that's qashow@genesys.com. This topic was recommended, and while I was in the process of researching it, I ended up finding two Genesys Engage developers who are very familiar with the topic. So I could not resist setting aside some time to record with them and get you all an introduction to this topic. I hope you enjoy, and I really hope to hear from you more episodes that you would like to see. So please enjoy this interview and let us know what you would like to see next. Have a good one, everybody. Hey, Leon, Vinod, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi. Good weather, good day.
Excellent.
Hey, man. Hey, everyone. We're doing good. How are you guys doing?
I think everybody's doing great. We're just hanging out here. It's a beautiful time of year in the States. I actually have spring weather. I think for one of the first times in my adult life. It's been nice and cool and great time to sit on the porch. What about you all? Where are you at in the world? Vinod, we can start with you.
I'm based out of India, so we are entering the summer. So we're going to experience the blazing heat and a humid temperature. Welcome to India.
Cool. And Leon, where are you at?
I'm in St. Petersburg, Russia, and it's hot, but today it's shiny and warm.
Excellent. I love hearing that. I know this is both your first time being on the show. We actually just met for the first time last week and had a great call. It's always a pleasure to talk with wonderful people like you. But real quick, just so everybody watching understands, can you talk a little bit about what your role is at Genesys? And just to keep things going, Vinod, we'll start with you.
So I'm a product manager with Genesys. I've been here for about 4 years with Genesys in this role. I have about 22 plus years of contact center experience. Here at Genesys, I'm responsible for the WebRTC as a product manager. Along with that, I also handle product management for the management framework and feature server. Feature server is a component which has 3 products again in it. One is a voicemail, the other one is dial plan, and the third one is a device management. That's in short about me. Over to you, Leon.
Actually, I'm 12 years old in Genesys, and
Wow.
all of my Genesys life, I'm working on a Genesys Engage core team, and on a voice product, on a SIP server, a famous one, and on a Skype for Business server, and currently I'm working on a WebRTC service, microservice.
Cool. Awesome. One of the things that we do on the show whenever we have a new guest, we always like to check the GCAP portal because we have a challenge up for an icebreaker question. And so it's just a question for us to get to know you very briefly before we dive deep and heavy into today's topic, which will be our WebRTC. So the question that I selected today comes from a GCAP member, and they wanted to know, what is your favorite sandwich? I'm sorry, it has to involve some kind of ingredients between 2 pieces of bread. That's how I'm qualifying a sandwich. All right, Leon, you're eager. Go ahead. What's your go-to?
I actually like sandwich with bread. Next level is apple. Next level is cheese. Next level is meat, and final level is black pepper.
Oh, interesting. So is the bread toasted or no?
Depends.
Okay.
Do I have toast or not?
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Vinod, what about you? Do you have a favorite sandwich?
I'm a vegetarian, so it's going to be almost similar to what Leonid said. So the bread, and then in India, we have some kind of pickles or like we call it chutneys. You
Yes.
get the green, red, various kinds of sauces. So they apply that, and then we go for tomato, onions, cucumber, lettuce, um, uh, almost green vegetables that can go in, like cabbage. So these kind of things. And again, once covered, butter on top and grilled to crisp. So that's
Perfect.
my favorite. And I would like it with some chips and some ketchup. Like
Whoa. You're stepping over the line. I just wanted to know about your sandwich. No side items. No side items. All right, guys. I think this is going to be a fun episode. I'm really looking forward to it. What do you say? Should we go ahead and start the conversation on WebRTC?
Yeah, so I'll probably go ahead and give a few insights as a FYI for the viewers. So WebRTC is been on the industry for quite some time. There have been many applications that have been using WebRTC, but now the tool or the protocol is on the limelight. With the pandemic situation and users working from home or agents working from home, WebRTC is getting the more need or being the most thought about solution across the globe, across the customers. Before we get into WebRTC, let's first understand what are the apps that we use WebRTC. So that gives you a quick understanding of the applications that using WebRTC in your real time or in real life that you would have probably used. Since pandemic, meetings are almost with Zoom for most of us. So nobody says I'm going to a meeting. They say I'm going to a Zoom call. So Zoom as a product, they use WebRTC as the backbone through which both audio, video, chat, all these communications happen. But if you slightly rewind and go in the past, Google Hangouts or all Google-based products that you use for your communication, they're all built over the WebRTC protocol. Google has been continuously developing this protocol. The initial launch of this or founding member of WebRTC was Google, but it was made open source for everybody's consumption. And there were contributions from many people in the industry in enhancing it better. And with time, it is getting or it is improvising much better. And the codecs that are used in the WebRTCs are like adaptive codecs, meaning you might have a lesser bandwidth or you might have a huge bandwidth. Based on your bandwidth size, the codec used in WebRTC automatically compress or dynamically compress the call. So say, for example, when you're on a WebRTC call and if there is another person or another application using a data, the WebRTC automatically calculates and aligns or reduces or increases the bandwidth based on the availability without any impact or challenge to your communication. So thus, WebRTC is looked or being considered for more and more by the industry during this pandemic. And in Genesys, we have this offer today available only for our cloud customers, meaning we have Genesys Engage Cloud, which is AWS-based solution, and we newly launched the Azure-based Genesys Engage Cloud. So both these cloud environments support the WebRTC solution. Our roadmap or our path forward is that we want to get this wonderful technology even to the premise world. So the initial target for us is we are targeting private edition, as most of you would have heard the news from Genesys and through our marketing team and our CEO's communications. So along with private edition, we are targeting to bring this WebRTC product to the premise world so that with the private edition, embracing this technology is going to be much more easier, and compared to the legacy VM-based environments that you have that challenges, you could manage this completely at ease. This is purely like a containerized based service that can be hosted in your private AWS or private Azure cloud as well. When we say private, it is the AWS or Azure managed by you, the customer. If that is too much of a challenge, we Genesys are there, and we have Genesys managed solution, which is the Genesys Engage Cloud, and we can definitely provision and provide the solutions to our environment. That being said, we have a larger roadmap with lots of features that we are planning to bring in down the line. Otherwise, with respect to the key advantage for the business, if I'll have to say, this will be a quick enabler. From an industry standpoint, if somebody would like to set up a new contact center, I've seen organizations placing requests for their cross connects on the MPLS, which takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months. And there have been situations where it even takes a year just to get the MPLS up and running. With WebRTC, you can just be up in a few days. Once the solution is ready and deployed, as long as the agent has the internet, your production can start. So it's a quick turnaround when you want to spin up a call center on the cloud or on your infrastructure and get it going. This is a very good solution. From a cost perspective, this would help you in reducing the cost. In what way it is going to reduce the cost? You pay a huge amount for your cross connects, the routers, data centers, etc. But here, in an organization which already has an internet connectivity, you just need to increase the bandwidth of the internet connectivity based on the number of agents and calls. Thus, you eliminate the cost that you'll have to spend on the MPLS, routers, etc. By doing this, the additional advantage the organizations get is they reduce the carbon footprint by going green or reducing their, making the environment much more greener. And WebRTC, as I said, it's a quick ease for the IT teams of the organizations. We have something called zero footprint, meaning the agent can just launch the browser or open the browser. They can just go to the Genesys website. Boom, they're ready. They don't need any application or any installation. They just, as anybody logs into their email or to any other web-based account, they would just log into the Genesys website and the agent can start performing their functionalities. So these are some quick bites that I wanted to share on WebRTC. I think I've spoken a lot. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Vinod. Yes, you've spoken a lot, but maybe not too much. I don't know. We'll see what the audience thinks. So I really do appreciate the overview. And as somebody who hosts this show and is honestly not as technical as I probably should be, I was able to follow, I would say 80% of what you were saying. So I think you did a great job. Excellent. So what brought us all here today was an email that I received about a month ago from Vaughn. And Vaughn wanted to specifically have a segment on WebRTC, and I'm just going to read most of his message here. He said, "Can I please make a suggestion for a future community Q&A show to have one of the telephony team walk through the WebRTC call setup, stream, teardown process, and to touch on the specific ports, protocols, destinations used at each step, including the stun in caps, I guess that's an abbreviation, stuff for both on-premise and cloud edges." So that is what brought us here today. Leon, are you going to be able to help Vaughn out with some of those questions?
Well, we actually can set up this session with a description of our current architecture. We'll describe ports that we are currently using. Actually, from a external point, I mean, from a agent side, agent needs only 443 port that will be used for signaling and for media. And it's hard to believe, and it's a TCP. It's a TCP connections, and it's hard to believe that it's almost all that we need to open for agents.
So you just need that specific port, and they should be good to go.
Yes, it's usually open on a customer side. It's usually opened in agents' homes because this port used for HTTPS.
Okay, cool. So what about here? I think you covered the port that they need. What about the any kind of protocol or destination advice that you can give?
Well, we use, of course, HTTP. We use this sounded out STAN protocol to establish connection to our turn service, and this connection to turn service will be used for RTP. And that's all.
Okay, cool. Vinod, anything you want to add to what Vaughn asked initially?
Leon is the expert there, so I don't want to comment anything more.
Cool. So get out the way, Leon. Leon's going to be the one to answer this. Okay, awesome. So great. Any other advice you want to give to Vaughn? It sounds like he just needs to make sure he's set up with the right portal, and like you said, you recommended the HTTPS protocol, I guess. Any other advice right now, or do we want to hop into the other questions that people asked in the forum?
I would probably pitch in with a few advice. So there are a few prerequisites for WebRTC. One is the WWE tool. WWE tool is the tool where the agents logs in, like they do the general work, right? Like I'm ready for call, I'm not ready, I'm after call work, all these kind of their status, managing their work. So the tool is must, because WebRTC is built, I would probably say, on top of WWE. So this tool would provide the authentication, the login ability, and as it's browser based and it communicates along with WWE, this is a prerequisite to have the WWE when you're working with the Genesys infrastructure. And the other prerequisite is the SIP server, which obviously anybody should know, because on the cloud side, the infrastructure, whatever is required, like framework, SIP server, they need to be operating for the WebRTC to ensure connect or get the DN related informations and process. So this is one of the prerequisites. Otherwise, the WebRTC offering that we provide is two ways. One, which is open internet, where anybody can access from anywhere. And two, we also provide a whitelisting based. There are few customers who have few security needs where they don't want all traffic to hit or move anywhere to anywhere. So they want to ensure they consolidated traffic on a specific location or a data center or some place. And from there, they want to ensure they're routed with Genesys. So there are like technologies called IP whitelisting, which is more towards the network firewall related aspects. So using that, we can provide even more secure connection if customer needs something like that. So we have two kinds. We support both whitelisted based as well as the open internet.
Cool. And one of the things that Vaughn also specifically mentioned was the idea of the teardown process. What does that look like? Is it as simple as, just unplug everything and you're torn down, or is there any more advice you can give him in that regard?
From my perspective, there is nothing that we probably need customers or partners to worry when it's a cloud infrastructure about tearing down, etc. Because the cloud infrastructure is completely managed, supported by Genesys. So when you say that as a customer, that you need WebRTC, all you just need to say is how many agents. So we provide the DN configuration related information, and all the agents will have to just do is just open the browser, log in, start doing the work. Rest all the deployment, all these aspects are managed by the Genesys team who supports your deployment. It could be professional services or whichever team that is involved in the enablement process.
Gotcha. So the questions Vaughn were asking are probably more for him trying to set up something on premises that he would manage himself, right? Which we really wouldn't support, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
So with respect to Premise, as I said, we are targeting that as part of private edition. Once we have that launch as part of private edition, we will have the Genesys docs page, which will have various information that will talk about the prerequisites, the deployment guide, the troubleshooting guide,
Gotcha.
the scaling, like if they want to scale, how should they scale, what should be the kind of configurations or servers they should have, how should they triage an issue, how should they capture logs in case of an issue, how should they configure their turn servers, or the other prerequisite aspects should be managed. All these would be part of our documentation process as part of the Premise, because we understand Premise is a world that is completely managed by customer. So we definitely need to provide lots of handhold and documented inputs that would be self-sufficient for the customer to do. So wait for the launch. Along with the launch, you'll have all those informations available with you.
Awesome. And maybe we can have you all back on the show to go into more detail if Vaughn has those questions. Leon, it looks like you were trying to say something there for a little while. Do you have anything you want to add right now?
Yeah, just a small addition to Vinod, that in Amazon and actually in Azure now, WebRTC is a shared microservice. It means that it works like, for example, like the GVP, Genesys Voice Platform. It handles all of tenants in region. And for Amazon, it means that currently, as far as we already deployed in, I don't know, in all of regions already. And for our customers, it means that they just simply can start use WebRTC out of the box in, like, as Vinod said, in a few days, without needs to deploy WebRTC in a new region.
All right, awesome. Well, I think we've done a good job of kind of covering that. It sounds like anybody who's trying to set up on premises will have a lot more options coming up in the future. For now, I say it would be really cool for us to get in and answer some of these questions that came in as we were leading up to this episode. Just real quick note for anybody who's watching. So in the community, once I realized we would be doing this topic, I had a post up that asked for people to ask their questions about WebRTC. And Vinod and Leon are more than happy to go through these. Talking with them ahead of time, some of them are more introductory, some of them may be more advanced, and in some instances, we will provide links where we think it would be more helpful for you to check out an alternate source or something like that. So guys, is all right? Can we go ahead and get started with Robert's question here? We can just go through them real quick. All right, cool. All right, so Robert's first question was, what impact does VPN connections have on WebRTC?
I'll take the question. Probably Leon can chime in along with that. Really, it does not have much of an impact. So if you see in my conversation previously, I talked about two kinds of connectivity. One is open internet, another one is whitelisted. So whenever there is a customer who needs or who feels that they need to carry their data traffic through a secured way, that is when customer go in with a VPN kind of an infrastructure. With WebRTC, yes, customer can channel their traffic through their VPN and route it to our infrastructure. But however, the connect to Genesys is always internet. We don't provide the VPN capability or features. It's basically managed by the customer within their IT infrastructure, and through the internet pipe, it is routed to us through like the whitelisting, where they provide specific IP address, source IP address, which we mark as trusted for their traffic, and any other traffic for them from any other IPs is not permitted. So that's the extent of the VPN. But otherwise, there is no major challenge in using a VPN. But the other factors from a networking standpoint is that when you are using VPN, we don't know how the networking is and their configuration is. If they need to do some prioritizations for the voice versus data, those things they will have to ensure that they manage those configurations from the VPN or from their customer network infrastructure perspective. Leon, technical side, so you can probably chime in a lot.
Yes, customer just need to realize should agent use VPN or not? Because, for example, if a customer expects to have like 10,000 agents that have calls simultaneously, and you can imagine 10,000 calls goes. All of this RTP traffic, not HTTP, but RTP traffic will go through customers' network, and they just have to realize how to handle that. Because, for example, as you can see, all of us currently in Genesys speaking through Zoom a lot, and it doesn't affect our Genesys network so much. But, for example, if a company is, not prepared as Genesys, for example, or like some Apple, and VPN connection can cause some unexpected delays.
Gotcha. Robert's next question is, can WebRTC be used with VDI solutions? What do you guys think?
Vinod?
I'll take the question. So we don't have a challenge. One of our customers who is VMware, they did a proof of concept where they deployed the WebRTC solution on one of their virtual machines, meaning the agent who's running on a virtual machine was using the WebRTC capability, and they were successfully able to do their POC. A full-blown test from Genesys is pending, which we have it in our roadmap. So generally, as a product organization, we don't make a commit without we doing our full-blown test. So yes, definitely it will be supported. From the testing standpoint, we are in the process of validations. Once that is validated, the support for VDI would also be announced officially by us.
Cool. Robert's next question. What is Stun, and why do I need to open Stun to Google?
That goes to Leon.
Yes. Robert doesn't need to open Stun to Google. I don't know. We are using our Turn server because it's in a WebRTC service. It's a one of components. And Robert do not need to do some additional things like open to Google, open to some other public Turn Stun servers, or etc. Stun is a protocol that uses between agent and Stun or Turn server to realize how agent looks like from external point of view. What ports can be used for RTP traffic, what ports is blocked, and etc. And in our case, we are using Stun protocol to establish Turn connection because usually agent is located deep inside of the network and cannot be accessed from external. So in this way, agent open connection to Turn server with using of Stun protocol, and this connection will be used for RTP between agent and the WebRTC gateway inside of our network. And for WebRTC gateway, this Turn connection on a Turn server will be represented as agent. So WebRTC gateway will send the RTP traffic to Turn will send, and
so in shorter terms, probably in layman words, if I'll have to share my views, ICE is basically a protocol that is like interactive connectivity establishment. This is generally used when you use NATing, like when your IP address sits behind, like your IP address is X, but to the external world you display as Y. So when you have to establish such connections, the ICE is the connectivity that will use this Turn protocols, which will do the address resolution. It will resolve Y to X and X to Y. This address resolution is basically done by these turn servers, and it ensures it collects all the information that is required for establishing the WebRTC connectivity between the source and the destination. So in this case, on Robert, he's talking about Google. So we are not too sure what he's trying to do there, but probably he's trying to do some Google-based WebRTC solution for which he's trying to turn up. From Genesys perspective, we have our turn servers provisioned in our cloud for our customers. So as I said before, as we manage the complete infrastructure, the customer has no pain points. All they'll have to do is they just have to enable. The turn services is managed by the Genesys team.
Yes, Google can be used if you would like to establish your own WebRTC connection, I don't know, with Vinod or with you, for example, with using your own WebRTC endpoint.
Cool.
And with this public services helps a lot.
Excellent. I'm going to go through just a few more questions here, and let's do these real quick because I think they're simple yes or no. Can I use WebRTC in any supported browser on any device?
For now, we have a limitation on the supported browsers. We support 3 different browsers. One is the Google Chrome. The second one is the Firefox. And the third one is Microsoft Chromium Edge. These are the 3 browsers that we support as of now. But if you see, predominantly 98% of the customers fall within the usage of these browsers. There are few isolated cases where they have Safari or Opera or many other browsers. But for now, we want to limit it to these 3 browsers. In future, as a roadmap or an aspiration item, we have few in our plan. But that's something like in 2023 or 2022, something is when we can expect some additional browsers, but not sooner.
Cool. What happens to at-home workers if their local edges are not accessible?
So here I don't understand what they mean by edge, because as long as the agent has an internet, they're going to connect to Genesys.
Gotcha.
If they're going to connect into a VPN, that is when they're going to have challenge where there may be edge routers or edge connectivities, egress points or ingress points on the customer infrastructure. So if that is definitely not going to be available for a customer, the agent would definitely not be able to log in. Not just for WebRTC, it would impact the overall the contact center application, like they cannot log into WWE or anything else.
All right. This one may be a slightly longer question, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there. Can you explain the WebRTC data and voice paths for home workers and local edge devices?
Okay, I'll probably give a high level, a macro level. If more detailed, probably Leon can share the things inside the hop. So it's from the agent laptop or desktop to their home routers or modems, whatever they're using, through the ISP, whatever they are using, whatever the ISP hops or path, it reaches the Genesys WebRTC gateway. From WebRTC gateway, the audio packet or the audio path is held on the gateway. It talks with the SIP server for the requesting on where the call needs to be connected with the incoming call, which is like mostly on the SBC. SBCs are generally G711 based codec. So the WebRTC gateway does the transcoding of the WebRTC into G711 and provides the interconnect with the call, which is at the SBC where the customer is being on hold or on the IVR, whatever it is. And there goes customer's audio path for the communication. More detailed or granular, if information is needed, I think the question needs to be more precise. So Leonid can dissect each of these components and explain in detail.
Cool. Gotcha. Leon, anything you want to add?
No, good, Vinod.
Terrific. We have one question that came in from Peter, and I'm actually going to share my screen so that you can see it because he included a very lovely illustration here. So he asked, hi, Matt, some questions about the upcoming Q&A show around our WebRTC. About the Opus codec and bandwidth usage. This is a variable bitrate codec. In theory, it could use anywhere between 6 kilobytes per second and 510 kilobytes per second. What are the default upper and lower bit rate limits that we allow the Opus codec to use? I'll stop there.
So,
go ahead.
Answer. Yes, no. I'll give it to you.
Upper limit, if I remember correctly, is for Opus codec is 40. And the second question is that customer cannot change bitrate because as far as WebRTC is a shared microservice that handles all of customers, so we have same settings for everywhere in a region.
Gotcha. So they cannot change the bitrate limits, right? That's what we're saying.
No.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. I think we just have one more question here, and then I'm going to let you guys go about your day. This one comes from Kunjin. He writes, we began using persistent connection on WebRTC phones to reduce latency when new incoming calls reach an agent. We are seeing improvements. Nice. The default timeout is 10 minutes when persistent connection is enabled. We are experimenting with 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 4 hours. What's the recommended timeout?
With respect to Genesys, we don't have something specified that once the agent logs in with the WWE, you have the connection established till the agent logs out, because once the agent is logged in, there can be various functionalities that the agent can do, like post call, they can be doing an after call work, etc. So it's a continuous established connectivity as explained by the user. We don't have a timeout set. If in case there is some network connectivity and if the session is dropped, all the agent would have to do is re-log in or reconnect. By logging off and re-logging in, they would be back in with the connectivity established. It is not that a timeout cannot be set, but coming from the best working modality or experience that Genesys has from the years of supporting contact center, the way we have configured is definitely what's best for the industry and for the agent's side. But yes, there is possibilities to set those timeout, but it will be more fragile to have something configured from a timeout disconnections perspective. Leon, do you want to add?
I think just short note that as Vinod said, we do not have WebRTC connection established for a whole agent work time. It means that there is no established RTP connection. And in a described case, it looks like they're trying to use, it's usually called in a nailed up connection. It means that agent is permanently connected to the voice path, and just when routing routes some calls to agent just retrieve it from mute and engage it into the call. We, of course, do not use something like that in WebRTC because it's traffic consuming, and I don't believe that anyone needs that.
Cool.
Through open internet.
Gotcha. Kunjen just had one last question. We have on-premise edge servers, BYOC premise. Is there an impact on network traffic because of those servers?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question right. Can you repeat it for me, please?
Yeah. So we have on-premise edge servers, BYOC premise. Is there an impact on network traffic?
BIOC is basically, I believe it's bring your own computer. So bring your own computer is just an endpoint. When it is bring your own computer endpoint, it's definitely their network would have been configured to support that. From a WebRTC standpoint, we don't see a challenge. This is all more to do with their network, the customer's network architecture, network configuration aspects. Leon, you wanted to say something?
I think that actually in every particular case we have to we just need to investigate how it will impact for every customer. Because, for example, if we will not have some issues or impacts with this edge server, but it can be impacted by some unpredicted component like proxy in between or etc.
Cool. And I know that after I told Vaughn we were doing the episode, obviously he was excited, and he just had one more question around what was it? It was around diagnostic tools, and that was something that Robert also asked about. Talking before this episode, we talked about how some questions might be better suited with a link that we can share. Do you guys want to talk about diagnostic tools a little bit before we sign off, or is it better to share a link when it comes to that discussion?
We have an amazing diagnostic tool for WebRTC. It's a WWE agent configured, and WWE use it for call.
Cool.
Because usually it happens like this, of course. Our professional service just trying to establish a WebRTC connection with using of a WebRTC test agent to our contact center. If it happens, that nothing more, it works. If some, I don't know, for example, on some cases, it could be allowed only HTTP traffic for 443 port, and but not STAN. And of course, it should be tuned on a customer side, on a customer network. So shortly, yes, we are using WWE as diagnostic tool.
All right, awesome. Guys, thank you so much for being so generous with your time today. I feel like we all just left a sauna after those hot and heavy questions. I think you did a great job explaining them. You said before we recorded, this isn't really a visual topic. And so I'm glad I kind of had that expectation. I hope the audience was able to follow. Leon, I really appreciate you at one point using your hands to diagram something. That made me quite happy. I honestly don't think we have any more questions that came in. If I overlooked anything, please start a discussion in the community. Vinod, Leon, it's been great to have you. Anything you want to add before we hop off?
The final touch point that I wanted to share is that WebRTC, with this pandemic, we are seeing more demand coming in. This is a technology that is set to grow, or it's probably with the new norm that we have across the globe. WebRTC is going to be the new norm for communications aspects as well. This would not completely replace the SIP. Definitely SIP has its own benefits and advantages, and it has its kind, or it has the business solution requirements for it. WebRTC is, as I said, a quick enabler. Your work from home, remote agents, remote offices, this is going to be a very helpful solution to embrace with. And with the new norm, there's a way to go.
Gotcha. Leon, anything you want to add in closing?
Use WebRTC, be happy, stay healthy.
Excellent. Cheers. Guys, I know it's my morning, it's your all's afternoon or about to be evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope as the on-premise solution is launched, you guys can come back. I'd love to have you on the show anytime, and I hope to see you in the community. Thanks so much.
Always good. Thank you.
Thanks, Leon.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.
Have a good day.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our hosts and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives. Go to the Helpful Links panel found on most community pages and find the QA Show archive that interests you. We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!